How to sell when it doesn't go well. Find out how on today's video. So I got to do my usual thing of make sure you like, comment, subscribe, share, all those things you can really think of. If you get a chance, go support Central Standard Brewing. I'm not paid by them or anything crazy like that. I just like them, and they're cool, and they're local here in Wichita. If you like Wichita beer, they're an awesome craft brewery here that's local to Wichita. One of the first ones that came around. But anyway, let's get to our topic of how to sell your house when it doesn't sell right away, because we have this popular notion that's like, oh, you just list a house and they sell, right? Like, no, even in this market, not all of them sell like that. You hear about the exceptions of the crazy ones, like, oh, it sold in a day for over asking. And it's like, how about the ones that doesn't happen? And then what do? That's where the value of a good listing agent really comes in, who isn't just any old Joe Schmo off the street who got a license and is your friend from church, work, or school, comes in and is actually able to sell your house when it's not easy. Because even in this market, it doesn't mean every house just flies off the market. So when that happens, guess who you want to have as an agent? Somebody who actually has a contingency plan, a strategic plan of action to get your home sold, and not just be like, well, crap, I don't know what to do now. I put it on MLS. What else is there? There is a lot more if you got a realtor that's a good marketer. There's a lot of realtors out there who get a license but don't have knowledge in sales and marketing, especially digital marketing right now. And so I wanted to go over our 8 steps, 8 different ways that we use to kind of go over, consider when it doesn't sell right away. I'm just going to kind of show you visually some of these things too. And then stick around at the end for a bonus example of a little bonus insider tip of like what I have to say about this and how you can honestly prevent a lot of this in the first place for everything. So stick around at the end for that. So the first thing that we get into is when it's not selling right away, is like everything you do when you list a house is it's all about marketing. And so the first thing you need to do is you need to gauge your marketing eyeballs. So let me go ahead and start sharing the screen and I can show you exactly what I'm talking about, how we go through this. And the first thing we look at is we have these marketing reports that we pull. When we go to sell your house at Team Home Hero, we are actively monitoring, engaging these stats daily, hourly, and over like different courses of time that we're seeing the effects that these things are having, to where it's more online than ever. It's not as simple as just you post MLS, post to Zillow, and oh, it either sells or it doesn't. There's a lot more things that we do, at least here at Team Home Hero, that's possible to actually get your home sold. We actively work that listing to get it sold. We don't just sit around and hope somebody brings us a buyer for this thing. We actively work this thing. So one of the things we do most is we're constantly gauging these marketing eyeballs, and then we'll compile these reports to send out to our sellers so that they see what we're actively doing behind the scenes. Like one of them, as you can see here, is all the listing stats as far as how many real estate agents have viewed it, how many prospective buyers have viewed it, how many total listing views we've had, days on market, open houses, and all the stats that go with it. So that's one of them. The next one we look at is like how many showings we've had in the last 7 days, last 30 days, feedback received. One of them was marked as favorite. 10 people rejected it, 262 still undecided. So you can start to see how this is a lot more of a involved, active process. It's not just, hey, we sit around and make all these big checks. You have to actively list and market and gauge this feedback in order to get a result, which is the house getting sold. And when that doesn't just happen right away and you're lucky, or it's not launched appropriately, it takes a little bit more effort. Maybe you tried to price it a little too high and now the market's telling you that and you got to read that. So first and foremost, gauge marketing eyeballs. Look at how much exposure you're getting through the MLS, also through Facebook, through all your other different websites, depending on how many different websites you're tied into. This was the open house ad we did to give you an idea of the reach and the engagement. This is also the initial marketing campaign we did, reached 2,723 people, had 496 people engagement. This is, again, another one of the marketing campaigns that we ran, 2 comments, 41 shares, 14 likes. So it's like all of these metrics we're gauging as a marketer to really see how much exposure is this thing getting. Zillow at this point in time is 8 days on the market, 1,549 views, 31 saves. If those are legitimate, I always have my hesitancy with Zillow with some of their legitimacy. We don't need to see a picture of me. But that's the first thing we do, is we get in there and we gauge marketing eyeballs. The second thing we do is from that marketing eyeballs, we need to gauge also the total market activity and average days on market. So we saw what our listing is doing as far as marketing eyeballs and showings. Now let's see what the overall like Maize school district in this example is doing. How many showings were we getting in that same period of time frame where we got 4 showings? How much other showings are going on in the total market? And as you can see, by the way, we've incremented these price points by 10,000. There's 3 showings at 280. There was 20 showings in the Maize school district from 270 to 280. 4 of those were ours. There was 7 from 260 to 270. There was 12 from 250 to 260, so on and so forth. But essentially what you're gauging here is how active is the total market in that area for where we're at. Because if the whole market's dead or not that busy, that's saying something compared to ours. If the market's busy like ours is, but we're only getting 4 showings or we're not getting a sale happen, we're gauging there's market activity here. People just aren't buying our house, whether that's not marketed well, there's some feature we're missing, the price is off, the price isn't what we thought we could get out of it. But these are the things we're actively monitoring, engaging, tracking, and then making decisions based on this marketing activity. And this is what an active listing agent will do in order to get your home sold, instead of just give you a bunch of fodder or BS or, hey, I like you, but do you have the skills? Do you actually know what you're doing to get the home sold? So that's the second thing we do, is we gauge market activity, and then we compare this to average days on market. Because if your neighborhood's average days on market is 30 days and you're expecting a sale in the first 3 days, that's really unrealistic when everything else in your neighborhood has taken 7, 14, 21 days to sell. Maybe some took 40, 60 days to sell, but you're expecting a 3-day sale. I think that's unrealistic right from the start to think that you're going to sell a house faster than what the rest of your neighborhood is selling. So just that's something to take into account too, with the number of showings and how patient you need to be with this process, is that not all these houses sell right away or asking on the first day. But you got to stick with this situation. And you do that by making smart decisions with data and marketing and stats like this. So you're not rushing in to just drop the price. And then somebody who would have came along and say, in this instance, paid $265 for this house, you're not sitting there at $245 when they would have paid $265. You just need to give it another week or two and not be so impatient with this process. So that's the second one, gauge market activity, average days on market. The third one we do, we read feedback, take actions. So this is our listing activity report to give you an idea. You can see the total number of showings here. And at that time we pulled our report, it was 4. We had 3 showings this week. We had 1 showing the week of 4th of July. We had 2 showings, 7/11, 1 showing, 7/18. This was after the price drop, I believe, which I kind of gave away what we also do. But that's not like the first thing we do, like most agents do. We actively work to sell your house for what we listed it for, not just be like, hey, you need to drop the price. That is a strategy, but not yet. We'll get to that one a little bit later. So you want to read this feedback. We have 2 people that, yes, are considering this home. 2 are not considering it. Feedback we got was priced just right on this. So it's not necessarily that maybe the price is off, but it could still be just because we had 2 agents. Because if you have lack of showings, lack of feedback, and you're getting marketing exposure, but you're not getting people to take actions, that is a message in and of itself. That means people aren't willing to come see your house at the price you have it listed at. And you got to read not just what people are saying, but also what people are not doing. If they're not taking actions, not leaving feedback, not doing showings, but they're looking at it, that's a message right there. There's activity going on there. It's just not getting the result we want. And we have to look at this objectively to actually get the result. Now there is a buyer who is interested in this one, still consider it, got to look at lenders. This one's not considering it. This first one was considering it. She was, but now she's not. And this is where we go through and we, as listing agents, actively work these clients, work these agents. And we do it from a point of collaboration, not bullying and fighting and being the strong jerk of a negotiator that sometimes people think that's how you get a deal done. You get a deal done by collaboration, working with people, figuring out what's important to them, what's important to the seller, and making the deal happen. You probably heard the saying, you attract more flies with honey than you do vinegar, or whatever the saying is. Basically, it's just you get more done when you're more cooperative and nice about it than just being a jerk. Like sometimes people think realtors are, or sometimes realtors think they need to be in these situations. Being a jerk hardly ever gets stuff done like you need it to, which I guess that's number 4 is part of this, is we reach out to the showings and the leads and we collaborate with them. We don't try to like bully them around and fight. on everything to see what can we do to work a deal? What can we do to make something happen? You know, be cooperative and accommodating, but at the same time, like, don't just give away the farm either. You have to be strong, but cooperative. So that was 3 and 4, read feedback, take actions. Number 4 was reach out to showing and leads. Number 5 was launch more marketing campaigns with new messaging. So like, this is where we did the price drop. This gives you an idea of where, you know, we actually have a marketing budget to run ads to sell your house, beyond like also our activities. Like, we have a text code set up on the website or on the sign that in front of the house that we've had a few leads come through on this just to get engagement. Somebody was looking, you know, and we actively man those, respond those, and work those situations to try to get the house sold, not just get buyer leads out of it. So we've got a little bit of activity from that, but then also we launch more marketing campaigns like this, where it's not just how much money you have, it's also, do you have the ability and the knowledge to get this in front of the right people? And the way we target people through Facebook, through Instagram, through retargeting people that have been to the website, is we get you the most amount of exposure through our digital marketing efforts, and the most targeted amount of exposure to where it's not just money, it's also knowledge. Like, how do you set up an ad like this? How do you target the right people? How do you get them to respond? How do you talk to them when they do come through? You know, that whole marketing and sales funnel is what we really are the experts at when it comes to hiring us as realtors. You're really hiring a marketing firm that does real estate, is the way we propose ourselves and implement this. And that's really what you're paying a large commission for, is for us to get you a result. Because at the end of the day, like, we're spending all this money up front to market the home, spending our time, and you're really taking no risk. Where if your house doesn't sell, you keep your house. Whereas we're spending all of our cash and our knowledge and our marketing endeavors up front to get your home sold for you. And the only way we get paid is if it gets sold. If it doesn't sell, we got to just take the loss on it all. We take, you know, the cost of marketing that home, listing that home, all of our other expenses, and we got to eat it. So that's part of the risk that we take in order to get your home sold, as we go above and beyond to spend our money and our knowledge and our time to get your home sold, not just sit around and hope somebody sells it. And the way we do that is through listing ads like what you're seeing here. This is just one example of them. We also do them through YouTube, through Instagram, through different native landing pages on the website, like over 350 different websites we can tap into. We just know one of the most powerful ones is Facebook. Like you can see here, where we spent $47 so far at 1597 impressions, 212 clicks. That means active people are interested in this house. We're looking at online, 21 engaged leads, 7 of those are already in our system, 14 new leads. But this gives you an idea of where we're, you know, and then when they become, either they come back to our website, we see that, we start interacting with them again. They're brand new lead, we start interacting with them. Like, we're actively working this online side of things that you don't have this on Zillow, you don't have this on MLS. This is where at Team Home Hero, we actively use our marketing campaigns to sell that house, and our marketing budget that goes with all this. So that's number 5, is launch more marketing campaigns, new messaging, really actively work those sales. And then if we can't get this thing sold, that's when we start to talk to them about, hey, we need to probably adjust the price. Let's look at the days on market, what's not happening. And at the end of the day, if you want to get this thing sold, like all houses sell, it's just a matter of what price. Here's everything we've done marketing wise, sales and efforts wise. Here's all the actions we've taken on our end. And if those things aren't accomplishing the result, the only other thing we need to look at is price. And at the end of the day, I know sellers like to resist this. They're not real open to being like, oh, I don't want to give money away. I don't want to lose money, but you can't lose what you didn't have in the first place. So that's something to consider with all that, is that you're not actually losing money. You just didn't get maybe as much as you wanted to from the start. So I know that's unfortunate, but it's the reality of the situation. And if you do want to sell this thing, we got to do what it takes to sell this thing. You see all the marketing and sales efforts we're doing. The next thing we do is price. Because even if I went and did more marketing and sales efforts and the price still didn't work, I would just be telling more people that it's overpriced, and more people would just be saying, I don't want to pay that price. So it's kind of like you're doing the same thing over and over, expecting a different result. Or if I'm doing more marketing, more sales at the same price, expecting a different result, that's the definition of insanity. I think it's Einstein that said that, or Aristotle. I'm not sure which philosopher, but you get the concept. You can't just keep doing the same thing over and over, expecting a different result. We got to adjust price with the marketing and sales efforts that we're doing. So that's number 6, is adjust price to spark action, activity. You know, and then whenever we adjust price, we relaunch marketing campaigns like this. You know, again, we're actively involved to get this thing sold, because we want to sell it just as bad as you do. But when it doesn't sell right away, what's your plan after that? everybody's got a plan until they get punched in the face and nothing's going like you're supposed to. But then once it doesn't, what are you doing to actually get the home sold? And this is where we proactively go to show our clients and our sellers, like, hey, we're actively working this thing, working the leads, getting the marketing budgets going where it's going to, and then assessing the market to get this thing sold to where you truly are hiring a full-on marketing department to list and sell your home, not just some realtor who's going to throw it on MLS and hope it sells. That's why you pay us, the fees that you pay us is all of this extensive marketing knowledge is where it's at these days. And then, so we went over that one. Number 7 was relaunch the marketing campaigns with price drop. And honestly, you just kind of repeat this process until the thing sells. And then number 8, there is a strategy of taking it off and relisting it 30 days later, depending on your situation. Let it just chill for a sec, see what new round of buyers come through. If you're not in like a, hey, I got to sell right away situation, I want to sell. Sometimes we let it sit for 30 days and then come back and relaunch this thing in another 30 days and see where we can go from that. Because at the end of the day, like I said, every house sells. It's just a matter of when and for how much. And as long as your realtor is actually taking, marketing and sales steps to get the home sold, what more can you really ask for other than assessing, maybe it's not the right time to sell. Maybe I need to reconsider what I'm doing with my plan. But I just wanted to kind of show you guys what we do to effectively effectively market and sell your home, even when they don't go well straight from the launch. Because not all, popular contrary belief, not all of them sell right away for over asking price. And when they don't, what's your backup plan? What's your strategy? What's your contingency plan that goes with that? And this can hopefully show you guys that we do have one, what we're doing on some of our past examples. I've had some in the past that have taken, like 90 days to sell. They've had 90 showings. It actually ended up, it was a older person's home, and he's kind of a smart older gentleman who was just like, screw it, they can take the home back, and ended up selling it, keeping him out of foreclosure, and actually ended up almost selling it for more than what we initially listed it at, but it just took 90 days to sell it. And we got plenty of marketing activity, and we were working the hell out of it, got it sold. Took me way longer than I wanted it to, but we just had to wait for that right buyer to come around for it all. I've had others that have taken a couple weeks to sell, 30 days to sell. They don't all sell right away. It just depends on your personal situation. But the bonus tip that I was going to stick around, if you stuck around watching this whole thing, thank you for watching. Sticking around this long, it really helps the YouTubes and the algorithms and all that fun stuff. So I appreciate you watching all the way to the end. Like, comment, subscribe, share, all that fun stuff. But the bonus thing, the insider information of this is how you really honestly avoid a lot of this stuff in the first place is you, one, hire us as a realtor, of course, but then make sure you have effective launches and pricing from the start. Don't be trying to beat the market and price your house out of the market just because the market's hot. Because if you're not selling fairly quickly, you're probably not priced that well to start. You pushed it too hard. You took too much of a risk by trying to go too high. And this is where when we sit down, we show you all the data. We show you all the marketing. We show you and we help you decide where you want to position your home. And if you're taking too risky of a proposition because you're being greedy or you're just not accepting what the market has to bear, that's a little bit on where you decided to price it. Because at the end of the day, you're hiring us for marketing. You just saw all the marketing things that we do. You hire us as marketing and sales contractors, which is our job to pull that off for you. And we only get paid if we pull that off for you. But it's up to you, honestly, to set the pricing. And if your house isn't selling, it usually has to do with pricing, not necessarily the marketing and sales efforts on our end, because that's what we really specialize in, is doing effective launches through these marketing campaigns of both videos, digital media, getting it out to all the right eyeballs, reading those eyeballs, capturing those leads, working with those leads, all of those things that really go in a true marketing and sales firm, which is what we pride ourselves on here at Team Home Hero, is having all those effective systems in place so that when you do launch them, you do get a good amount of showings. Typically it's done in a weekend where you price it well, you launch it well, and it sells almost kind of like an auction style of a situation, because you price it just where we know based on this data we have the highest probability of someone coming in and making an offer and even competing over the thing. Like I can tell you a couple that we've done recently that we listed at $215, ended up selling for $20,000 over with a $10,000 appraisal gap, and an as-is home inspection. So that one sold for $20,000 over because they priced it well, just where the market was at. Another one we listed at like 255, ended up selling at 262, 500. And so again, priced well, launched a good marketing campaign, had a lot of good exposure, good showings, and sold it for over asking price because the sellers just basically followed our process and priced it reasonably where we suggested to, because we're not giant risk takers either. Like, we want to sell the thing, we want to get the most out of it, but at the end of the day, we're realistic with where these things can sell at. So I think if you effectively launch them and price them well from the start, you can avoid a lot of this altogether. So hopefully that helps you learn a little more how we sell when it doesn't go well right away. You know, I know there's this premonition that realtors just list houses and make all this money, but it's actually a lot harder than you realize these days. All of this stuff is very new, the real estate market, and it's made our job even more complex, even more difficult, had to take on more cost, hire more staff, you know, more complexity. Like, our job's gotten harder than ever, because right now it's kind of like, oh man, the real estate market's doing well, you realtors must be doing well. It's like, not necessarily. Our job has gotten a lot harder, as you hopefully have seen here, that we have to work a lot harder for that commission to do that. And it's a time when a lot of people are coming trying to be realtors, not realizing how much really goes into it, which is a little bit what I'm trying to show you, how much really does go into it when you do it well. So hopefully it's helped you learn a little bit more how real estate works, how Team Home Hero works. If you like more in-depth consulting, want to talk to me specifically about your situation, go ahead and go to my website, wichitahomehero.com, or you know, leave me a reply on this message and we'll kind of just go from there. Talk to you guys later. Thanks for watching.